Bruno Bucciarati is one of, if not the most unique character in all of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. If you compare him to other characters, his motivation and his character development is very unique just to himself. Character traits like Dios are present in many villains around Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Bruno though stands out, and I'm going to tell you why. Before I start the video, I want you to ask to subscribe to the channel. You don't have to, but it would really help me out and it does motivate me a lot to keep on doing these videos. So I would really appreciate it if you took it into consideration. As the son of a fisherman and living in a small town, Bruno had a very quiet early life. When it came to his parents, they never abused him or anything, other than the other members of the main group in part 5. But when Bruno was 7, his parents decided to divorce. His father would remain in the fishing town and his mother would move to the city. Bucciarati's parents decided to let him choose where to live. Bruno chose to stay with his father as he thought he would take the most emotional damage from this divorce. After a couple of years, 2 shady men posed as fishermen approached Bruno and his father. They wanted to meet a boat to go sail out and fish. Or so they said. In all actuality, those 2 men were drug dealers involved with some other men they would meet on the sea. As a witness, the father of Bruno got shot 7 times. Luckily though, he survived. Promptly Bruno's father was admitted to the hospital. But Bruno knew the 2 men would come back to finish their job. So he hid under the bed and waited for them to appear. And they did, so Bruno ruthlessly slaughtered them. But Bruno knew his father wasn't safe. There would be more men to come. So he joined a criminal group called Passione. And for a few years he worked under the capo. A capo is a leader in this group called Polpo. But one fateful day, Bruno found the drugs that were sold while his father got shot. In this moment, Bucciarati built a hatred for the group of Passione. Because of that, he started to build a group that he could trust. The first to join was a guy called Fugo. Fugo has extreme anger management issues, and this is his representative problem in his story. As the other members of Bruno's group that will now be established have. Soon to join are 3 other people. Leone Abacchio, who feels responsible for the death of his partner. I already made a video about him. I'll link that in the info card. And Abacchio has extreme trust issues because of this past happening. Another is Narancia, who has abandonment issues as he was abandoned by his family, in the case of his mother by dying and the case of his father just by physically abandoning him. And by his friends he made because he fled from his home, who only used him to frame him for a crime he didn't commit. The third one is Guido Mista. And Mista has a very different problem from the previous ones, which is lack of excitement. Bucciarati basically saved him from the prison by bailing him out and thus bringing him back the excitement of life. In all this, the pattern is to notice that Bruno is saving the members of his group. But with one member, it's the other way around basically. The last member to join this group is Giorno, the protagonist of part 5, who proposes to Bucciarati to find the boss of Passione and defeat him. Just like Bucciarati, Giorno's motivation is to stop the criminals to sell drugs and do unjust things. They both think to do that you have to become the head of the criminal organization. And that is where the story of part 5 begins. The first goal of the now established group was to make Bucciarati a capo. After this position got free because Giorno made Polpo kill himself. And after a little journey, they reached an island where a big treasure is hidden. With that treasure, Bucciarati was now a capo. Also on this island, a new member would join the group. A girl called Trish, who is actually the daughter of the boss of the whole group of Passione. The new mission for the main group was now to protect Trish and escort her to the boss himself. After they reach him, Bucciarati finally betrays the boss because he only wanted to kill Trish. After communicating this event to the rest of the group, Fugo leaves and never comes back. What they don't know at this point is that Bucciarati is actually dead. His body is still wandering around, but his soul left him already. However, the next journey begins and they search for the identity of the boss of Passione. They eventually find it because of the sacrifice of Abbacchio, and after a couple more fights and a little journey, they face Diavolo and eventually defeat him. In the last episode of Golden Wind, we see that before the events took place, Bucciarati met a stand user with the stand called Rolling Stones, which predicts someone dying. Basically, this stand forms a sculpture of the person that is soon to die, and if they touch the rock, they kind of have a easy way out, so they won't feel any pain or anything. This, of course, stands for the inevitable fate that Bucciarati would die during the journey in part 5. But his body didn't just enter this state of death. He kept on journeying with his group. And there's a good reason for that. The character of Bruno Bucciarati revolves around protecting others. This all started when he protected his dad from the intruders that were trying to murder him. It went on by him trying to protect the citizens of the area where he lives from the drugs that were sold by Passione. And then it is in the group of the part 5 main cast. He tries to protect everyone in this group as the leader. He is so protective even that when Abbacchio dies, he just tries to keep on and keep going because he knows that staying in this place would be a potential threat to the rest of the group who are still alive. In this situation, Narancia thinks that Bucciarati is just kind of heartless, but in all actuality, he cares more about them than he cares about his own feelings. His protective personality and his loyalty is sheer boundless. But this is not the thing that makes him so unique. What makes him so unique is that he is so selfless that he does not care about himself. And he pays with his life for that. His righteous nature leads him to betray Diavolo and thus receiving the fatal blow that inevitably killed him. There's a very good reason for the Mummy Bucciarati meme because he saved every single one of the members of his group from some bad point in life. As I said earlier, Abbacchio from self-hate and trust issues, Hugo from a life in prison, Narancia from being abandoned and being lonely, and Mista from a life which is plain boring. Just as his stand represents, he is the part of the group that keeps everyone together. His stand is basically able to create zippers on anything and anyone and open things with them or take them apart or put them together again. Bucciarati keeps fulfilling this role in the group. Of course as a leader, but also on a personal level between the characters. This is hinted at in the first scene where the whole main cast group is presented to us. Fugo and Narancia are arguing, which gets physical real quick, but as soon as Bucciarati steps into the scene, they immediately stop. A subtle hint that Bucciarati is, as I said, the person keeping everyone together, as he brought them together before. This of course shows in various situations throughout the journey. For example, Bucciarati tells the members of his group to use their stands regularly, but he never does that to Fugo, because he knows he doesn't like to use his stand. Fugo can't really control his stand very good, and his ability is very destructive, with a low precision. So of course, Fugo doesn't like to use it. And as Bucciarati knows that, he never once asks him to use the stand. Okay, so what makes him so unique? The uniqueness of his character stems from him being so selfless that he takes the damage that would be received by another member of his group on him. This is perfectly shown by him basically dying, but as I said, still kind of controlling his body or whatever, because he wanted to protect Trish, who was the one that was supposed to die in this moment, as Diavolo planned it. But no, Bucciarati took this death on him. This character trait is almost displaying him as a mad person. Most of the time madness causes someone to be aggressive or because of an evil reason or something like that. But in Bucciarati's case, he is just so good of a person that he is too good of a person which destroys himself. He basically works after the formula of he can protect anyone around him, but not himself. And although it is never particularly stated, I think that he survived his death, basically, because his will to protect his friends is so strong that his body just kept on moving, just through his sheer willpower. In the end, Bucciarati sacrifices himself again because his body was destroyed, and he was switched into another body because of the stand Silver Chariot Requiem. He destroyed the stand and thus goes back to his destroyed body. Another sacrifice that he took without thinking about it. And this is what makes Bucciarati so unique. Bucciarati is such a good person that you could almost describe him as insane. And this is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and again, if you did, please subscribe and like. It really motivates me to keep on doing these videos, and it's really fun. Thank you if you do, and I hope to see you next time.
This